This is part one of a film about a 14,000 kilometer or 8,700 mile journey from the Komodo Island to Fiji. Part one includes a visit to see the Komodo dragons and stops at the islands of Wakatobi, Buru and Wayag. Just before we were to board our ship in Bali, the cruise company sent an email stating that as the ship was sailing through the Straits of Malacca, it passed over a discarded fishing net which wrapped around one of the propeller shafts, causing some damage to the seal around the shaft, which would require a repair in dry dock. Fortunately, a dry dock was found for the urgent repair, but we had to fly from Bali to Flores Island to join the ship. Komodo Island is located in the center of the Indonesian archipelago, just west of Flores Island. We took a fast motorboat from Labuan Bajo on Flores Island to Komodo Island. Labuan Bajo was mainly a fishing town, but is now a tourist center with many live-aboard boats and its beautiful harbor. We left early in the morning for the 70-minute crossing to Komodo Island in speedy motorboats equipped with 4 250 horsepower engines each. After tying up at the long pier, we went to the Komodo National Park entrance to get a park guide. We were lucky to see a Komodo dragon strolling by whilst waiting for our guide. Nearby the dragon was a Timor deer, which is a prey item of the dragons. An adult Komodo dragon walked by, flicking out its tongue to detect smells. The Komodo dragon's tongue-based sense of smell is their primary method of detecting the scent of warm-blooded animals, which are its prey. The island has a wide variety of fauna, but the main attraction are the dragons. The Komodo dragon is a monitor lizard. It is the largest extant species of lizard, growing to a length of 3 meters or 10 feet and weighing up to 90 kilograms or 200 pounds. As a result of their size, Komodo dragons are apex predators and dominate the ecosystems in which they live. They are carnivorous, but attacks on humans are rare, but it is wise to keep your distance. As we hiked along, we were lucky to see a scene with both the predator and the prey on the move.
Yeah, just one bite.
The wild boar is also a prey item of the dragons. The orange-legged scrub fowl has large orange legs and feet, which gives it its name, orange-footed megapode. This huge abandoned megapode nest serves as a Komodo dragon nest during the egg-laying season. As our hike was ending, we came across a dragon heading to the beach to take a break from hunting. It plunked itself down on the beach, and then we left to go snorkeling at the nearby Pink Beach. Snorkeling at beautiful Pink Beach was a nice way to enjoy the sunshine and see some of the underwater wildlife in the area. The beautiful pink moon jellyfish seemed to want to approach, which was not something that I wanted. This trip to the remote Komodo Island enabled us to see the impressive Komodo dragon in their natural habitat. Returning to Labuan Bajo, we met our ship that had just arrived, having completed repairs in dry dock to the damage caused by the ghost fishing net. Having boarded the ship, the anchor was lifted, and we sailed out of the harbor to start our voyage of adventure. Leaving Flores Island, we sailed 600 kilometers or 370 miles northeast to Wakatobi. Wakatobi is a portmanteau of the four main islands in the group, namely Wangi Wangi, Keladupa, Tomia, and Binanko. The island fishermen mainly fish using hand lining, as it is the most readily available and affordable method of fishing. We entered the waters between Keladupa and Hoga Islands and anchored off of Hoga Island in the Wakatobi National Park, not far from the unique over-the-sea village of Sampella. Per normal, the local Indonesian officials came out to our ship to check our paperwork and get a bite to eat. The relaxed smoking fisherman soon turned to furiously bailing out his boat. Fish aggregation devices use ropes and lines to encourage the settlement of marine plants and small crustaceans, which in turn attract small fish for the fishermen. Sampella is an amazing Bajo village that rises out of the ocean around 3 kilometers off Keladupa Island. Several thousand inhabitants live in wooden stilt houses which are built on coral stone bases. These impressive constructions are built in rows connected by narrow bamboo bridges under which small boats can pass. The Bajo men are fishermen that make months-long duration trips in canoes to catch fish. The Bajo used to live on boats and were known as gypsies or nomads of the sea, but they have now moved into stilt houses over the water. Once anchored off the sparsely populated Hoga Island, we loaded into Zodiacs for the trip to the beach near a dive resort. With the tide being out, it was obvious why there was a very long pier to accommodate boats coming to the resort. Once ashore beside the very long pier, we went off to explore the interior. The black-hooded oriole's nest was high up in a tree that was swaying wildly in the wind. The nest normally contains 2 eggs. An old nursery rhyme came to mind, namely, "Rock-a-bye baby in the treetop, when the wind blows, the cradle will rock." We came upon the abandoned resort reception, which was in an advanced state of decay. The artwork on the wall and on the structure under the center are interesting, but given the state of decay, they are not long for future viewing. The surrounding vegetation harbored an interesting collection of insects.
Come on, do something. Spread thy wings.
Several years ago, development of a new ecotourism resort for divers was funded. However, time and termites have not been kind to the resort, which is now unusable. The lack of tourists during the COVID pandemic contributed to the resort's demise. As the tide was out, the snorkeling wasn't at its best. There are over 30 species of clownfish or anemone fish, but only a few resemble the one featured in the movie named Finding Nemo. So seeing Nemo was a treat. Sailing from Hoga, we were leaving behind a small island known for its isolation from modernity. Leaving Hoga, we sailed 400 kilometers or 250 miles northeast to the island of Buru. Buru was one of the legendary spice islands, famous for its clove production that was exported by the Dutch East India Company from 1658 until the Japanese occupation in World War II. Following the end of the Dutch era, Buru was forced against its will to join the Republic of Indonesia in 1950 after a military operation. We had a long zodiac ride to get to the start point of our nature walk. We passed by many small boats which served to illustrate the importance of water travel for most Indonesians.
They'd be game trying to chase us on the Zodiac.
Passing by the Indonesian government buildings, we could see the mural of the soldiers ready for combat. The tropical savanna features a tree-studded tall, coarse grassland rather than thick jungle. This is due to the climate dryness. Traditional Buru houses were made from bamboo, and they were often on stilts. The roofs were covered with palm leaves or reeds. Cement, metal, and tiles were introduced in the 20th century, and locals were urged to build more permanent dwellings, but this only had limited success. Once ashore, we were off on our nature walk, during which we were able to see a host of fascinating insects, flowers, and birds. This was the first, and unfortunately, it turned out to be the best such walk on our month-long trip. Cloves and other spices were so valued in Europe that the Dutch are reported to have made profit margins of 300 times the purchase price in the Spice Islands. During our nature walk, we saw amazing insects and flowers that would have been well worth a longer exploration. The male golden orb spider is tiny compared to the large female golden orb. The red-barred dragonfly is aptly named. Back down at the shoreline, whilst waiting for the Zodiacs to take us back to the ship, we watched a woman doing laundry in a spring, whilst nearby some men were cleaning marine growth off their fishing boats. Too soon we were back on the ship and sailing away from Buru. Our short stay there had shown that Buru is well worth a longer visit. Leaving Buru, we sailed 580 kilometers or 300 miles northeast across the equator to the island of Wayag. The sperm whale logging on the surface in the distance was a rare sight. At times, the surface of the ocean was alive with flying fish skimming along the surface. Flying fish cannot fly in the same way that a bird does. However, flying fish can make powerful self-propelled leaps out of the water where their long wing-like fins enable gliding for considerable distances above the water's surface. The main reason for this behavior is thought to be to escape from underwater predators. However, their long flights expose them to attack by birds. Nearing Wayag, we crossed the equator and King Neptune held a crossing the line ceremony to transition people who were making their first crossing of the equator from pollywogs to shellbacks and introduce them into the mysteries of the deep.
Please, voluntarily or not? Okay.
Spanning over 50 karst islands, Wayag epitomizes Raja Ampat. Wayag is surrounded by a cluster of uninhabited smaller islands with pristine beaches and crystal clear seawater, which are scattered like a maze around the larger island. The most stunning view of Wayag and its surrounding is atop Pendido Peak, so that is where we headed. On our way to Pendido Peak, we passed by the 14-passenger luxury yacht Lamina, which charters out for $161,000 per week. It was launched in 2014, and at 65 meters or 114 feet, it's reputedly the world's largest wooden sailing yacht.
Once you've dropped off, you'll get to shore. If you can make your way back to the ship, please. Drop, get to shore, head back to the ship.
Copy that.
It is a steep climb up the sharp, rocky slope of the Karst mountain and takes about 20 minutes. Despite the sharp rocks, the local guide made the ascent in bare feet. Once atop Pendido Peak, there is an astonishing bird's eye view out over the lagoon and the karst peaks of the Wayag area. The view from Pendido Peak was the most beautiful of our voyage. After the steep descent, it was time to see what snorkeling could reveal in the lagoon. The forest of branch coral and the fish inhabiting it was fascinating. There are at least 30 known species of clownfish, most of which live in the shallow waters of the Indian Ocean, the Red Sea, and the Western Pacific. They are not found in the Caribbean, Mediterranean, or Atlantic Ocean. Most species do not look like the one found in the movie Finding Nemo. Surfacing at the base of a pinnacle near the Lamina yacht, we could see the significant undercut of the pinnacle made over the millennia by wave action. Before returning to the ship, we took an amazing zodiac cruise through the complex of karst pinnacles that look like mushrooms sprouting out of the sea. Many of these pinnacles are cloaked by jungle. In part 2 of this journey of 14,000 kilometers or 8,700 miles, we visit the birds of paradise on Hoga Island, birds in the Arfak Mountains, and whale sharks in Chendrawasih Bay. If you enjoyed this film, please subscribe and like. There are many more similar films available on my channel.